Hi, lovely to see you, Detective. You'll be getting a subpoena soon. I have these excellent new attorneys, and they found possible evidence tampering in my case. Oh, and if you don't come, I'm gonna have to sue you into oblivion for using my name and likeness without my express written consent.
Hi, besties. Welcome back to my channel. Well, the litigation between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and Wayfair Studios is heating up, and now they are fighting about Taylor Swift because apparently Taylor Swift is set to be deposed in October, but it would fall 3 weeks outside of the discovery closing for depositions. And they are now fighting about an extension of time that Blake is seeking versus what Wayfair is seeking. And the entire situation is kind of a mess. So let's sort of talk about where we're at right now. There have been a lot of disagreements between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair parties about the breadth of the subpoenas and this information that's being sought, not only from third parties, but also the document production that they've been seeking from the Wayfair parties and from Blake to them. And they've had to go back and forth to the court to narrow down what Blake gets. Blake has been consistently asking for a lot more than what the court has found she's entitled to. And there's been numerous times that subpoenas have been quashed, significantly narrowed, outright denied. And at times she has been seeking information that the judge has found to be an invasion of privacy. So these discovery disputes are not uncommon, but it has caused significant problems in this process, which has delayed production because they're fighting over, I don't agree with you wanting this, and then Blake having to go to court. And ultimately, the judge has consistently denied in part and granted in part a lot of these disputes, meaning that sometimes Blake has been found to be seeking information that's overbroad. So right now, what they're fighting about is Blake is seeking this extension because she claims that the Wayfair parties are going to be dumping documents to her right before depositions of signal chats for Steve Sarowitz, and that Steve Sarowitz just produced all of these documents, and it's right before his deposition, and they need time to go through these documents in order to determine what is relevant to their conversations and their deposition with Steve and Baldoni and Heath. Okay. So yesterday they filed this extension for time, and they were asking for, I think, a couple weeks. They stated that they were looking to extend the deadline from September 30th, 2025 to October 10th. And they were saying that she needed sufficient time to prepare for and take the depositions of the defendants, Steve Sarowitz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni, in light of recent voluminous and delayed productions of Wayfair defendants, which Lively previously apprised the court, which was from the motion to compel. So the motion to compel for the documents that she recently had won, that had to do with the signal chats and all of these other documents regarding reports and what kind of reports that she would get for HR. There was a wide omnibus motion to compel. It was denied in part and granted in part. So she didn't win everything. And so because of that, they had a deadline where they had to produce documents, and the remaining documents that they're supposed to be given, they're a few days late on giving, and Wayfair says she should have them today. But regardless, she wants a 20-day extension, okay? And she explains that the deadline for depositions is supposed to be on September 30th, and that they are extending the closed fact discovery by 6 weeks to run concurrently with expert discovery, which was partially opposed by Wayfair. The court partially granted the request in an order dated on July 15th. On September 8th, the parties jointly moved to amend the case plan to extend the deadline for the completion of expert discovery by 30 days, which the court ordered. And then on September 10th, the counsel for the parties met and conferred regarding Ms. Lively requested extension and have reached an impasse. Counsel for the plaintiff and the Jones parties consented to the request. Counsel for the Wayfair parties refused to consent to this modest extension, instead insisting that they would only agree to an extension of the current deposition deadline if it is granted for 30 days for all discovery, including both party and third party depositions. And counsel for Jett and Street Wallace have not stated their position. So in their notice, they did not say why they were seeking this 30-day discovery. They just said that this is what they asked. We want this, they want 30. And then she's looking for this modest extension, and they tell the court, that they still haven't produced discovery, and this is why we need this extension. Okay. And so after that happened, Ellen Garofalo, who represents the Wayfair parties, responded with her own letter to clarify, and she stated that she has known about the recently produced forthcoming documents for a month, long before she agreed to do the depositions of September 15th. So on August 4th, she moved to compel further document production from the Wayfair parties and sought several months worth of additional communications. On August 11th, the Wayfair parties opposed her motion to compel, but indicated that they would produce numerous additional documents. Following the briefings, the parties agreed to September 15th, 2025 for Steve Sorowitz's deposition, 18th and 19th for Jamie Heath, and 20 and 22nd for Justin Baldoni. In other words, at the time the parties agreed to the deposition dates, she knew that additional documents would be forthcoming prior to the depositions. Second, Ms. Lively will have Mr. Sarowitz responsive non-privileged signal messages by September 12th. She incorrectly claims that we insisted they would not produce these communications to the date of his deposition on September 15th. The Wayfair communication parties specifically told Ms. Lively that Mr. Sarowitz and Ms. Nathan's responsive non-privileged single messages would be produced today. Finally, she's misleadingly implying that the Wayfair parties seek a blanket 30-day extension of the discovery cutoff. In fact, the Wayfair parties requested an agreement solely to take the deposition of Taylor Swift during the week of October 20th through the 25th. Due to her pre-existing professional obligations. Whether the court agrees to the broader modification sought by plaintiff, the Wayfair parties respectfully request the court modify the scheduling order for the sole purpose of accommodating the third-party witness, Taylor Swift, who has agreed to appear for deposition, but is unable to do so before October 20th. So they are claiming the reason why they want this is because they need an extension of time to take Taylor Swift's deposition. They're making clear to the court that they're not actually seeking an extension of all discovery to October 20th. They're only seeking an extension of time so that they can take the deposition. So everything else would need to be done by the same dates as proposed. They're just asking the court, can you please grant us an extension for one single deposition? It wouldn't affect anything else in the case. Other issues would be happening concurrently, so it wouldn't delay anything unnecessarily. It's simply so that they can meet the needs of Taylor Swift, who they state has been and agreed to this deposition, and this is the date they provided. So obviously Blake's team is not going to let this go, and they wanted to respond to have their statements made about Taylor Swift and get their position in front of the court and likely to the media. And so this morning they responded with a letter about this proposed deposition and the fight they're having with Wayfair about it. And their take on it is, again, different than what